All right, we are back with another video. So in today's video, as you can see, I'm going to be detailing and going over the issues that I had with a manufacturer. If you saw the last video, I went ahead and unboxed my clothing brand samples, which were supposed to be my official samples that just weren't right. As some of you probably already know by now, I was in the process of releasing some sweatsuits in 3 different colorways, which of course I was having produced by a manufacturer in China that I found on Alibaba. This was supposed to be my first drop for my brand, and I've had to put that on hold due to the issues that I have with this manufacturer. I'm gonna try not to make this video too long, but I do want to outline the general issues that I had. I wanna give as much detail as possible without being overly specific because I can make this video extremely long. So I just kinda wanna give you the points of, when I reached out to them, the issues I was having, and pretty much the conclusion. I did mention in the last video, if I'm not mistaken, that I was trying to get my money back. I did get some back, and I'm gonna tell you how much towards the end of the video that I got back, how much I paid, how much I got back. The whole process has been very disheartening, but I'm not gonna let it deter me. I'm not gonna let it stop me from doing what I want to. And my ultimate goal is to get this brand up off the ground and to have a successful clothing brand that a lot of you guys can wear and rock and feel good in it. Here's the gist of it. I reached out to this manufacturer along with other manufacturers in November. I think it was like mid-November of 2023. Of course, I selected this manufacturer to proceed with. Usually, it's not recommended that you only get a sample from one manufacturer. You want to get a sample from multiple manufacturers so you can just double check and test the overall quality of that manufacturer. That's something I already knew, and let me just say this, I am very new to this entire process. I already knew that I would make mistakes. This is where I fault myself in this entire journey, is that I only selected this one manufacturer. And I did that because I was limited on funds. I didn't have a lot of money to go into this because I've talked about this before. I conceptualized this entire brand in 2018. In 2021, I pretty much laid the foundation of the back end with the business bank account. Pretty much everything that you want to have for your back end of your business, I had everything up and rolling in 2021. And I was already paying for this Shopify, paying for things in the back end. And in this past, I would say 3 years now, I've spent a few $1,000s without making anything. That's on me. That's like nobody else's fault but mine. Because I was limited on money, I had to be very strategic of how I operated. After doing a ton of research, I learned where people typically go wrong when it comes to manufacturers and not giving enough detail to the manufacturer to produce the garment to their specifications. I didn't want to make that mistake, so I made a tech pack that was extremely detailed and showcased exactly what I wanted. I provided reference pictures, like I was on my stuff. Even though I was new to this, I don't think if you saw my tech pack, you would think I was a rookie at this. I really put my time in. I was communicating with, I would say like 5 manufacturers, and the one I selected, the guy that I was talking to, his name is Alan. I'm not gonna tell you the manufacturer, but his name is Alan. That was the sales rep, I guess you would say, that I was communicating with. Alan, when I first started communicating with him, he was great. From the time I started communicating with him, from the time I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna choose this manufacturer because I felt confident and comfortable that they can carry out my needs. I did a video interview before I even paid for the sample just to make sure that I was going to get exactly what I needed out of this manufacturer. Overall, I felt like this was a good one to go with. Why did I only choose one? Again, it was a money thing. I could have also did one from one manufacturer, another from another manufacturer, and it probably wouldn't, like, when I say one, I mean like the colors, because I wanted to do 3 colorways, a black, a brown, and a green. So I could have probably did 3 different colors from 3 different manufacturers. But what would have happened is I would have got 3 different products because the qualities, style, they would have been different. And then I would have had to market different pieces to you guys because I was gonna do a pre-order, again, limited funds. And I didn't want to market 3 different things as a pre-order, and then when you got it, it'd be slightly different because a different manufacturer did it. I didn't want to do that. So I felt like if I just selected one manufacturer, make sure I was very concise with what I was requesting in my tech pack and my details, and got that manufacturer to carry out these details and these pieces, I would be good to go. When I chose Alan, I let him know off rip, I'm gonna be doing a pre-order. I want this to be perfect. So I want you to communicate as openly as you can with me. Communication is very big for me. So I want you to communicate as best as you can with me and I'm going to do the same for you. He assured me that he could do that. And I've come to learn that they're going to tell you that they can do a lot of things even if they can't do it just because they want the money. That's just typically how business works with a lot of people, unfortunately. When they want the money, they're going to tell you they can do a whole bunch of things even though they can't do it. At this point, we're in December and my pieces are getting made. The first area of concern for me is he sent me, I'm gonna put this stuff on the screen. He sent me like a little illustration of where my embroidered logo would be on the chest. And then when I saw like the little illustration that he sent me, I was like, that's the wrong logo. And at that point I was like, how did you mess that up? Because when I submitted my artwork, I specifically and clearly labeled everything for where it was supposed to go. And I'm gonna actually show you guys on the screen how I labeled everything. There was no messing that up. And I understand there's a language barrier. I just didn't understand how he messed it up. And that was my concern right there, is like, really early on before you even got to anything, you're already messing up. At this point, I'm concerned, but it's literally just the beginning. So I was like, Rio, don't overthink it, don't overreact. Just like, just allow it to go. The next big problem that I remember encountering was the style of ribbing. This is like a rib here. I'm wearing a sweatshirt. This is like the rib here. It's like the hem of your waist, on the cuffs, the neck, that kind of stuff. Even though like a hoodie doesn't have a rib, neck. I wanted my ribbon to be wider, like just thicker. And I didn't know the technical term for that. So that's technically my fault, but I showed him images. He assured me that they could do it. Long story short, they couldn't. That was the frustration that I had there. I have learned a lot. Let me just say that. I have learned a lot since then. This has been like a lesson learned for me. Once I provided that detailed tech pack for you, any questions that you had about what was on there, I feel like that should have been asked to me. You guys may have saw that I ended up making a tech pack, on this channel, in a video format. I'll link it up here if you haven't seen that. So I made a tech pack, which was for a hat. And in that video, while I was making the tech pack, I was saying that you gotta be specific for the type of embroidery that you want because you don't want them to mess it up. And that's what happened with me with these sweatsuits. I just said, chest embroidery. I didn't specify that I wanted that to be flat, but I thought, and that's my fault for assuming, I thought that when you just say embroidery, they're gonna default to what's the basic and plain flat embroidery. That's, and when you say embroidery, you kind of almost think it's gonna be just basic flat embroidery. No, he decided to do 3D embroidery, even though I didn't ask for that. He didn't even communicate to me that he thought 3D embroidery would look good. He just did it because he thought that's what would suit my garment the best. You can't make decisions for me. And I even remember saying to him at one point, he just keeps doing things without asking questions. I said, your job is to bring my vision to life, not create your own vision. Your job is to ask questions to understand my intent. He says, I know. Well, if you know, then why aren't you doing that? That was one of the problems that I had. The next significant problem, because at this point, we're still in December. My initial design had drawstrings in the waistband of the sweatpants. They wanted to charge me a ridiculous amount to dye the strings a color to match the actual fabric of the pants. I just didn't want to pay that. I was already paying 600 and some change for my samples. The dyeing was gonna be like another 150 or something like that. At this point, I was over $1,000 and I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. So I'm gonna remove the strings entirely. At this point, we're gonna do no strings. It is what it is. Revise my tech pack, resubmit it to him. I said, no drawstrings, we're removing them. I don't know why when they produced these garments, he decided to put holes in the waistband as if the drawstrings were still there. Why would you do that? I removed the strings. Oh, but you can add the strings later. I'm not going to. Why didn't you ask me? Why are you making these decisions without communicating with me? At this point, I don't want that because I don't want to market something that's not going to be accurate to what the customer receives. I wanted to do a pre-order, which I told him in the beginning, what I receive as my sample is what I want my bulk order to be. I don't want to make any adjustments to bulk after I may have done the sample. I want it to be the same exact product, no changes, no adjustments. Because for me, although the brand is not off the ground yet, I haven't released or produced anything yet. I haven't sold anything. People go into business to make money, and that I understand. Of course, I'm going into business to make money as well. But it's not only about the money, it's about the integrity of the brand and providing good value and service to a customer. What I present to you is what I want to sell you. I don't want to present something to you different than what you're going to be purchasing. As a customer, I personally don't like that. I don't want to be seeing something visually and by the time I get my product, it's different. It's happened to me in the past. I've seen things online being one color, you get it's a different color. I've seen things online that, that shows a certain weight of a garment, you get it is much lighter. I don't want to be that kind of brand. I just don't want that. I want to make sure that there's going to be a consistency of what I'm producing and showcasing to my customers. That's just the kind of person I am. I'm very, very big on integrity, and I want my brand to be big on integrity because that's the kind of person that I am. I didn't want to make any adjustments. So he felt like the holes can't be seen. And I said, if I can see it, it's a problem. Because if I'm gonna wear these pieces, show close-ups and there's holes in the waistband and they're not getting that, that's a problem to me. Maybe some of you may feel like that's a very small issue. To me, it was significant because it's not what I paid for. I gave you details, you decided to do something different without communicating. That's not a me thing, that's a you problem. Long story short, they had to remake it. The first ones were completed and put to the side because I wasn't gonna get those. They messed up, they had to redo it. And not only that, I forgot to say this. The embroidery was misplaced on one of them. I think the brown, actually the hoodies, the embroidery was misplaced on all of them, but the brown hoodie and the brown pants, the embroidery was like 1.5 inches off from where it's supposed to be. The pants were the worst. You messed up with the holes, you messed up with the embroidery, things were just off. So when we were going in to make the second one, which was supposed to be the official one, that was in January, early January. At this point, I'm disappointed and I'm already questioning whether I should back out from this manufacturer. This was in December when I was having problems with communication, and I told him that his communication is not working for me. And at this point, something told me, Rio, you should not move forward with this manufacturer no more. You should find another manufacturer, because if you're having this many problems, what's going to happen when it's time for you to actually start producing bulk orders and they're working with a lot more pieces? I don't feel like it's going to be any smoother. I don't feel like it's going to be easier. I feel like it's going to be worse. But it was all new to me, so I don't have a reference of comparison. I don't know what's typical. I don't know how it's really supposed to work. This is December 15th when I'm realizing that I don't know if you're right for me, because there's so many mistakes happening. Your communication is bad. One thing I wanted to say, his communication was perfect up until I paid for my sample. Once I paid for my sample, it was sparse communication. He wasn't really communicating much at all. It would take him forever to get back to me about things. There were certain things that I would send messages about. He wouldn't even respond. He would ignore them. But he wasn't like that before I paid for my sample. So that was a light bulb, and I was like, I don't like that. This is my fault for trying to push the issue and just make it work. All the signs were there. Everything I needed to know was there early on. I wanted to make it work so bad because I had wasted so much time years prior just not doing anything. And I wanted to start 2024 off with a bang. I wanted to have these pieces ready in January. My vision was just that 2024 is gonna be it. My piece is gonna drop in January. That was the best case scenario that I had. It's currently May. I wasted 6 months with this manufacturer. When you're messaging with manufacturers, everything pretty much goes into a message thread. When you open that, you can see the list of manufacturers that you're communicating with, and it'll tell you if that manufacturer is currently live. This manufacturer, they went live often. For the month of December, even prior to me paying for my sample, I always saw them going live. It didn't really mean nothing to me. It didn't matter that much. It wasn't that big of a deal until I realized why they were always going live. Their whole reasoning for always going live is just to promote. They're just trying to get more customers. As a customer of theirs, I wasn't getting proper service. I wasn't getting adequate service. It didn't make sense that they were always trying to get more customers when the customers that you currently have are suffering. You're struggling to even keep up with them. I'm in no position to tell somebody how to run their business. I don't think that's my place to tell somebody how to do business. As a customer, I feel like I'm allowed to tell you that this is not working for me. You're not doing the things that I expect of you, and I've paid you, and I'm not feeling like I'm getting what I paid for. And the reason why I felt that way is because I had questions, and this was in December. I was questioning whether he was just incompetent, as in he's just slow. I don't mean to be rude or mean, but that was literally a lot of my thoughts. I was talking to my brother a lot about this, and I was like, I don't know if he's slow. I don't know how he keeps messing up so many things. Maybe he's just incompetent. Maybe he's just super busy and he's not able to focus and pay attention to what my requests are. I chose to think about the latter because I don't want to question somebody's mental capacity. That's not my approach to dealing with people. I just felt like he was too busy. If I already feel like you're too busy to get things right with me, and I'm seeing you trying to get more customers, it's like a red flag. It doesn't really sit right with me. I remember saying to him, you keep making these mistakes, and I don't understand why. So you seem to be moving too fast and it's not allowing you to properly focus on the details. I'm trying to hold you accountable in hopes of helping you perform better for me and your other clients. He says, thank you. And I says, how many clients are you assisting right now? He says 9, maybe more. I was like, don't you think that can be too much for one person at once? You're making these mistakes because your attention is too divided. He says, yes, there must be a reason for this. I said, there's a reason for everything. For me, it's a problem because you're too busy trying to help too many people at once. My garments and my project is suffering and I'm not able to get what I paid you for because you're spread way too thin. I didn't tell you to spread yourself too thin. I didn't know you would be spread so thin when I decided to pay you because I wasn't sure that you'd be able to do things the right way for me. I said, right now I'm questioning if your company is right for me long term. I can't keep having these lapses in communication and attention to detail. I demand better from you and your company to sustain a long-term partnership. I understand that mistakes can happen. That is normal. We are all human. But if this is happening because you are too busy and not paying attention, then that is a problem for me. I just want to be honest with you about my thoughts and feelings about this. He says, it is futile to say anything now. The key is to look at the results of the next work, right? And he says, now I've shifted my focus to your side. I believe I'll be more careful. He wasn't. Then he goes into saying that I'm afraid that the wrong words will lead to your misunderstanding. And I said, which words? I said, words provide clarification and understanding. And if I misunderstand, I would tell you that I don't understand. Please don't think for me. I can think for myself. He goes, all right, you are right. I think too much. I said, I think a lot too, but I also share my thoughts. We're in January and we're approaching February. And as some of you know, Chinese New Year happens in February, so they take a break. The whole thing for me was to get these samples shipped before they went on their break. He kept reassuring me that that would happen, and it didn't. This whole thing has been a mess. I cannot wait until the end of February, going in March to get samples because this whole thing was supposed to be done in December. I was supposed to be already promoting in January. I can't keep waiting. He said, okay, I will just send you the old ones so you'll have something to promote. I did that unboxing back in February of the old ones because he sent those to me. That's what I ended up showing you guys, the stuff that I wasn't really supposed to have and wasn't supposed to show you. That's why that happened. That was a good thing it happened that way. Because once I seen those, of course, you know, I talked about the adjustments I wanted to make. The leg was too wide. There were some other things I wanted to adjust. So I spoke to him about it. Here's where I started to get really upset. I communicated to him that I wanted to make the adjustment within the leg. The leg was a little bit too wide. I wanted to taper in and bring it in. You guys saw I made a video talking about the adjustments that I was making in those samples. I even showed you how much I was bringing the samples in, all of that stuff, right? I communicated that to him. The exact amount, the measurement, videos, pictures. I sent him as much as I could to make it easier for them to make that adjustment. He told me they was gonna do it, right? I think it was like on a Monday or something like that. I'm thinking like, all right, so in the next few days, within the next week, they're gonna have that adjustment made. Perfect, you know, we're moving right along later than I wanted to, but we're making some progress. 2 weeks go by and I don't message, I don't pester him, I don't hound him, nothing. I let him do his thing. 2 weeks go by. He asked me to have a video call. I'm thinking he's gonna show me the pants and the adjustments they made. He gets me on video to tell me they can't make the adjustment. It's too much of an adjustment. It's gonna bring it in too much. And I was like, but it won't. I literally did this myself or already tried it. I know it's going to work. Wait a minute, what did you do for the past 2 weeks? 2 weeks went by and you didn't do nothing? I was pissed. So you couldn't have told me that before that you were having trouble? They already got my money. He didn't care. And that's when I realized like, yo, this is not a good look. I'm not happy about this. You wasted 2 weeks. You didn't do nothing. You didn't even communicate. You didn't do anything. You wasted 2 weeks of my time. Another couple weeks go by, he shows me that the pants have been altered. Once the adjustment was made in the leg, I felt better about what I was going to be receiving. I just didn't know that when I got to him, I would be encountering another problem. Brown, green, and black. Those are the 3 colorways that I had. These samples were a size medium. That black was pretty much a size small, labeled as a size medium, which is a huge problem. Sizing is very important when it comes to a clothing brand. And when you're manufacturing clothing, even though I'm new to this, I'm a fashion content creator, I guess you could call me. I've been in this field for years, just never in the producing side of it. But I've been a consumer for a very, very, very long time. Sizing is huge. If you have size inconsistencies, nobody will want to buy from you. I wouldn't want to buy from a brand that has severe size inconsistencies. The first one that I received, when I did a video measuring, the black was off a little bit. It wasn't severe, but I did communicate that I wanted that fixed. I wanted it to be as close as they could be to the measurements that I submitted. When I saw how small the black sample was and I communicated that, my communication basically was like, this is way too small. I can't use this. can you please remake it? After I did the unboxing, I messaged him, and this was April 3rd, so it's over a month ago. I messaged him, I was like, hey, I just opened the package. The green is still a bit dark. Sent him a picture. And I said, it's better than before, but it can be a little lighter. I said, the brown is good. And then I also sent a picture of the side seams. This, what I'm wearing right now, doesn't have it. I requested a specific type of seam, what's called a double top stitch. I just wanted that detail on my garments for my sweatsuits. Every seam was supposed to be double top stitch. Every single seam. They didn't do it. And I told him about this previously. All he had to do was just make sure that all of my details were done correctly. So when I received the hoodie, I sent a picture of the hoodie, and I said also the hoodie side seams were supposed to be double top stitch. He says, sorry, the workers missed this. But you shouldn't have missed it. If the worker forgot to do it, it was your responsibility when you viewed the garments to make sure matching up to what they were supposed to be. That was your responsibility. If the seam is not right, then you say like, hey, take it back to work. It's like, hey, this is supposed to be double top stitch. Can you fix that? I feel like that's how that's supposed to be. You didn't do your job, not the worker, you. Your job is to communicate and then make sure it's done properly. You didn't do what you're supposed to do. That's not a me thing, that's a you. But then I realized that of course the black was too small. So I sent video, I sent pictures. I said, this is a problem because I'm doing pre-orders with these. I cannot mark an inconsistent sizing. I cannot wear it to showcase proper fit. What am I supposed to do now? I am trusting you to get things right. Then I found out that the hoodie's also small as well. I said, I tried to wear it in the video. I cannot mark it. The black set is too small. How did this happen? He says, let me check. I'm also confused. The next day I sent a picture of me wearing it. I said, too small. Did you find what went wrong? At this point, it was like another day or two that went by. He just says, yes, a little short. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. So maybe cutting fabric for black sample 2S. I guess he meant to say too small. Again, there's a language barrier. And I said, the dimensions were slightly off on the first sample you sent me, but this one is really bad. And I said, the pants are very short and a bit slimmer. And the hoodie body and sleeves are also very short. What can be done? He didn't say nothing. The next day, I just sent question marks. EMM. Don't know what that meant. So I said, EMM, question mark. And this was a completely next day. So at this point, when I said what can be done, 3 days went by. 3 entire days went by. He said, if the size is small, I think it could be a size small promotion. And I said, what do you mean? Till I thought about it. Then I said, I cannot wear the item to promote it. My goal is to wear and style the pieces and make content to promote them. I cannot wear the black. Please remake the black set or refund me. Then I told him, you're not going to tell me how to promote. Your job is to make it correctly and you did not. Please make it correctly or provide me a refund. He didn't say anything. So the next day I said, can you provide an update question mark? So much time has been wasted on this project. Will you remake the black sample? So it was 2 days after he said that I can use it as a size small to promote. He says, I'm taking part in the company's outbound activities these days, which means you're too busy to work with me? I don't know what that means. When I said, please make the black set or refund me, he says, please send back the 2 black set samples and we will return the cost of the black samples. Exclamation point. I'm pissed. I'm not paying to send those black sets back to you because of your mistakes. That's not fair to me. I said, I told you the black sweats, pants, and hoodie were made small a week ago. At this point, it's an entire week later, and you didn't provide any solutions. I am very unhappy with you as my point of contact and honestly feels like you don't even care. I've been as nice as I can be. You are very bad with paying attention to details and are too busy. Then he says, please send it back. Otherwise, no refund is allowed. We've already spent twice as much money on making samples. All of them denied my work because of the size. I am also very disappointed. If bulk was also picky like this, the tone might be a little heavier, but this is a fact. I don't want bulk because it will cost me too much time and energy. Not only for samples, we can't lose money again. Just ask you to return the black samples that do not meet your requirements. We will return the cost of this part of the samples to you. The situation is as simple as that. Picky like this? Then I sent a picture of the difference of the black pants being entirely too small. And I said, how is this acceptable? This is not being picky. Did you double check the measurements before sending me the garments? I'm not paying for your mistakes and inadequacies. The reason why I didn't feel like it was fair for me to send these back to him and literally pay all the shipping and all the fees that it takes. I don't have a business account with the postal service and UPS, and it would have cost me a ton of money to send these back just because they messed up. If you want me to send these back to you, provide a prepaid label. If you took the proper steps to make sure that it was done the way I requested to initially, we would not be in this situation. We're in this situation because you were not paying attention, because you were too busy, you're too slow up here. I don't like to assume that, but that's a possibility. Or you just didn't care. One of the three. I don't know what other options there could be. Too busy, you don't have the mental capacity, or you just don't care. One of those three, I feel like. I don't know which one it was. I try not to assume. I didn't know. I would just want to say he was just too busy. When he told me that he didn't want to do bulk for me because it would cost him too much time and energy, isn't that your job? To produce the garments in a way that I specified. When I sent you my tech pack, you didn't say it was going to be too much time and energy to do it. I admit I did submit a very detailed tech pack for these sweatsuits. I wanted a detailed garment done. Specific things in certain areas done a certain way. Measurements, everything were down to a friggin' detail. Everything was meticulous and specific. All you had to do was just pay attention to it. But because you were unable to pay attention to it, you produced garments that was not of what I requested. And you just wanted me to accept them because you didn't feel like paying any more money to redo it. It's not my fault that it's gonna cost you more money to redo it. That's your fault because you weren't doing it correctly. It cost them more money in fabric, it cost them more money in time and all that kind of stuff. But that wasn't my fault. And all he ever really said is, I'm not saying it's your fault. Well, you were kind of saying that without saying it, but refusing to accept any accountability. Through every time he messed up, he never took any accountability. Here's when I pretty much was like, yo, I can't do this no more. At this point, I don't think you and I can work well together anymore. I'm still willing to do business with the company because I think their product is good quality, but you and I cannot continue to communicate. You are failing to follow through on getting details correct and are constantly refusing to accept any wrongdoing. Besides, for the past couple of weeks, you have rarely been available. You've already said you've been busy doing other things. My request is for you to provide a prepaid shipping label and transfer me to a new contact. Thank you. He sends a smiley face. Nothing else, a smiley face. 2 days later, I say, can you provide an update, please? He says, okay. The next day, I say, do you have an update? He says, let me see. What are you going to see? Question mark. He says, let me check. What are you checking? He says, I mean pre-label. And I say, what is taking so long? I requested this 5 days ago. At this point, 5 days have passed. 5 days. Do you have a new sales rep to transfer me to? Question mark. 5 days already passed. He says, let me check. At this point, I was done. He was playing games. It was over. It was done. I tried to make it work. I feel like I tried to make this work. I didn't want to completely refund the entire thing. He was the problem. I didn't think the company was the problem. I felt like it was him. But it could have been the company too, I don't know. On the 19th, April 19th, which was 9 days after I asked for a new contact and a prepaid label, I just opened a request for a refund through Alibaba. Here's what ended up happening. I went through the situation with Alibaba. Honestly, I was preparing like I was going to court. I'm gonna show you guys the stuff I had to submit. I showcased everything that was wrong with these garments, the things that were off based off the stuff I requested, measurements that were off from everything I requested. I didn't even showcase everything. That's how bad they were. I was trying to accept certain things because I realized nothing's gonna be perfect. Like you have to make some sacrifices in some areas because you are dealing with other people and nobody's perfect. That I understand. I didn't want to make excessive sacrifices to where it completely altered my garment away from what it was supposed to be. That I wasn't willing to do. But some things I was willing to just say, okay, I understand. I'm okay with that. But not everything. Back and forth with Alibaba in this case. Alan and this manufacturer, they were refusing to give me anything back. They accepted no wrongdoing. If you didn't do anything wrong, we would have no problems. The only things I did wrong was forcing the issue. That was my mistake from the beginning and when it was happening. I forced the issue, but not trying to find more manufacturers and just going with this one. That's my fault. Lesson learned. And now moving forward, my process is going to take much longer because at this time I don't have the luxury to sample one piece from multiple manufacturers. I just don't have that luxury. What I'm doing at this time, I am finding a manufacturer I feel like will work the best for me, and I am just getting one sample made in one color and testing quality. If that doesn't work, then I'll find another one. Like, I just have to slow crawl this. It's gonna take me much longer to produce things, but I'd rather do it that way than getting screwed like I did in this situation. I have made mistakes. The ultimate problem within this entire situation was the manufacturer who was incompetent. My point of contact, my salesperson, he was just horrible. And I tried to make it work. But in December, I knew he was bad. I just tried to make it work. That was me for trying to force an issue. As the saying goes, when a person shows you who they are the first time, believe them. Alibaba told me to return these pieces in order to be refunded. But they don't recommend that because that's a very long process and things going through customs. Some things end up getting lost, and then if that happens, then I won't get nothing back at all. They recommended that I just take a $300 refund and pretty much just move on. That's half of what I paid. I'll be losing half of my money and with pieces I can't even use. all of these samples, I can't use them anymore. I can't even promote those to you guys because I won't be working with that manufacturer no more. That didn't sit right with me because I wasn't the problem in this entire situation. The manufacturer was. I didn't choose for them to mess up. I provided a very detailed tech pack. He just didn't follow it because he was too busy. He couldn't focus on it. He should have told me that in the beginning. They were money hungry, and I realized that they were money hungry in general with how many times they kept going live trying to get more customers. So I realized this manufacturer is all about trying to get as many customers that they can without properly making that customer a priority. It's more so about a quantity over quality with this manufacturer. And that was a problem for me. Since this manufacturer, I've worked with only one of the manufacturers so far. As you guys know, I made my hat tech pack. My hat has been in production. It's pretty much finished. It's actually on its way to me now. That process was pretty much smooth. I was working with a lady. She was awesome. Hopefully the hat is good when I get it. But working with her, there was no issues. Granted, a hat is a less detailed product, but she followed up with everything and communicated to make sure that they were going to be doing it right. Alan didn't do that. Alibaba told me they would give me the 300. I fought back on that and said it's unfair for me to lose half my money because this manufacturer did things the way they wanted to, not the way I asked them to. You can't reward a manufacturer for taking advantage of a customer. That should not be allowed because you're not making the customer feel comfortable to keep using this platform to work with different manufacturers. Not if you allow manufacturers to do what they want and take advantage of their customers. That doesn't make sense to me. I guess Alibaba and this manufacturer was communicating behind the scenes in a way that I wasn't able to see through this dispute forum. They offered me 120 back, which was the cost of the black sweatsuit, and $300 from Alibaba. So $420 was going to be coming back to me plus the tax. I think the tax was like $9 or something. So long story short, I got $429 back out of the $630 something that I paid. I'm editing this video now and I'm almost done with it, but I wanted to clarify one thing because I just watched it back and I don't think I specified properly exactly where the money came from. Out of the $420 that I was refunded, $300 of that came directly from Alibaba. The $120 came from the manufacturer, and according to what Alibaba said, or Shannon, the lady I was emailing with, she stated that the manufacturer was unwilling to originally give me back anything. And I guess through their negotiations, they decided to give me back the $120, which essentially I guess was the cost of the black set. Basically, the manufacturer kept 70% of my money, even though they didn't really fully carry out any of the specifications I requested in these garments. It's just very off-putting that a manufacturer can do that and then keep your money and accept no responsibility or no liability. Essentially, any manufacturer can do that on Alibaba. They can just produce whatever they want to, send it to you and say, that's not our fault. Something about that just rubs me the wrong way. You did whatever you wanted to do, communicated horribly, refused to actually properly create pieces for me, and then kept my money. It's like, damn. That is what happened. I went into much more detail than I expected. Here's what's happening moving forward. I'm just going to find a different manufacturer for the sweatsuits. I haven't started looking yet. I'm going to just start looking this summer. I'm going to try to get one colorway sample and do it the right way this time. And actually try to make sure that the sample and whatever color I choose is done properly first before I get other samples. We'll see what happens. I want to try to get another product done this summer. I've just been slacking on that process thus far. I'm not gonna lie, this entire situation with this one manufacturer, it was draining and mentally and emotionally. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not gonna allow for this to fully deter me from doing this. It's requiring me to be a little more cautious with how I approach in my course of action because I don't want that to happen again. I was laughing with my brother and I was like, moving forward, I'm gonna have to be more meticulous. The next manufacturer I have working these sweatsuits, they're gonna hate me because I'm literally going to require them to send videos or pictures of every effing measurement on the garment that they're making. Every detail was done to a meticulous because I'm not about to get something that's wrong and then you say like, oh, well, that's not on us. We're not gonna refund you. It's like, that's not happening to me again. That manufacturer messed up. That wasn't my fault, but they didn't want it to be their responsibility because they already got the money. The next video is gonna be me unboxing the hat sample. It should be arriving very, very soon. Your boy took a bit of a hit, but we're gonna get past it. I will eventually drop these sweatsuits. This is gonna be more towards the fall, winter time, unfortunately, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to also put some more products in motion. I wanna have some other things dropping. I've heard that Shopify has been cracking down on pre-orders, but I don't have the money to put in. I'm gonna be doing pre-orders for certain things, but I'm gonna try to do it in a way that's a little more strategic and not just, I'm gonna figure it out. But anyway, This video's been longer than it was supposed to be, but thank you guys for watching. If you made it to this point, let me know down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this entire situation. Do you feel like I made the mistakes and not the manufacturer? Where do you feel like I went wrong in this entire situation? If you have experience, I would love to learn. So feel free to let me know, because I don't know everything and I'm willing to learn. By the way, I'm not stopping. We're going to keep moving. It's going to be a little bit of a slower crawl, but we're going to get there. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Peace.